Something strange is happening across Texas right now, and most people living through it have no idea it has a name. You can earn $100,000 a year, which in most of the country still sounds like a comfortable life, and in certain Texas cities in 2026, that salary is not enough to feel financially secure. Not even close. We are not talking about San Francisco. We are not talking about Manhattan. We are talking about Texas, the state that built its entire identity around affordability, low taxes, and the promise that your dollar goes further here than anywhere else in America. That promise is cracking. And the cities where it is cracking the hardest are not the ones most people expect. If you enjoy deep investigations into what is really happening across Texas, subscribe and stay with me because this story gets much bigger. The cost of living explosion happening inside these 10 Texas cities right now is not just about housing prices. It is about a compounding pressure that has been building quietly for years. And in 2026, it has reached a point where a six-figure income no longer guarantees the life people thought they were moving here to find. Property taxes that have doubled in 5 years. Insurance premiums that have tripled in some markets. Grocery bills, utility costs, and childcare expenses that have quietly climbed while salaries stayed mostly flat. Layer all of that on top of a housing market that absorbed millions of new residents and never fully corrected, and what you get is a new Texas reality that nobody put on the welcome sign. This is the investigation into 10 Texas cities where earning $100,000 a year in 2026 means you are one emergency away from financial stress. Starting at number 10 and building toward the city where the gap between income and real cost of living has become the most extreme in the state. Number 10 is Frisco. A decade ago, Frisco was the symbol of everything Texas promised the country. Rapid growth, new construction everywhere, top-rated schools, clean streets, and home prices that felt almost reasonable compared to what people were escaping on the coasts. The pitch worked so well that Frisco became one of the fastest-growing cities in the entire United States for multiple years running. Hundreds of thousands of people moved in, and the city infrastructure struggled to keep pace. Today, the median home price in Frisco sits around $580,000. Property taxes in Collin County run between 2.1 and 2.4%, which on a home at that price means you are writing a check for somewhere between $12,000 and $14,000 every single year just to stay in your house. Add homeowners insurance, which in North Texas has climbed sharply due to hail risk and regional weather events, and your fixed housing costs before your mortgage payment are already consuming a significant portion of a $100,000 salary. The schools are still good. The amenities are still there. But the version of Frisco that felt like a deal is gone, and many of the people who moved here expecting affordable suburban comfort are discovering that the math no longer works the way it did when they signed their closing documents. Number 9 is McKinney. Right next door to Frisco and dealing with the same pressures, McKinney carries a historic downtown that drew buyers who wanted character along with growth. The problem is that character got expensive. Median home prices in McKinney are pushing $500,000 in many neighborhoods. The property tax situation mirrors Frisco. And because McKinney absorbed so much population growth so quickly, infrastructure costs have been passed directly to residents through rising tax rates and assessments. The city is beautiful. The growth was real. But the financial weight of maintaining that growth at the pace it happened is now sitting on the shoulders of the people who live there. For a household earning $100,000 a year, McKinney in 2026 is a city where you can feel squeezed even when the neighborhood looks prosperous. That disconnect between appearance and financial reality is one of the defining characteristics of every city on this list. Number 8 is Cedar Park. Cedar Park sits just north of Austin, and for years it was the answer for people who wanted Austin access without Austin prices. That calculation changed as Austin's growth spilled northward and Cedar Park became absorbed into the same economic pressure zone. The median home price in Cedar Park has climbed past $480,000 in many areas. Travis and Williamson County property taxes are among the highest effective rates in the state. And because Cedar Park is functionally part of the greater Austin metro, the cost of everything from groceries to car insurance to childcare reflects Metro Austin pricing rather than the small-town pricing the area once offered. The commute to Austin adds time and fuel costs. The housing cost adds mortgage pressure. The property taxes add a third layer. And a $100,000 salary in Cedar Park in 2026 does not stretch the way people assumed it would when they chose it as their affordable Austin alternative. Number 7 is Round Rock. Same story, same pressures, Slightly different geography. Round Rock was the Dell Technologies town, the suburban success story north of Austin that offered corporate employment alongside affordable housing. The affordability is gone. Median home values have risen dramatically over the past 5 years, and the property tax burden in Williamson County hits residents hard every single year. What makes Round Rock particularly difficult for earners at the $100,000 level is that the job market there is largely tied to the tech sector, which has experienced significant layoffs and compensation pressure since 2022. So at the same moment that costs were rising, the income security that residents depended on became less stable. That combination, rising fixed costs and less certain income, is the exact financial trap that is reshaping quality of life in Central Texas suburbs. If you are still watching, you already understand why this situation matters. Tell me in the comments what Texas city you think is changing the fastest. Number 6 is Georgetown. Georgetown marketed itself for years as a charming small city with hill country character and prices that made sense. The fastest growing city in America title it earned was not just a statistic. It was a warning. When a city grows that fast, prices follow. Georgetown's median home prices have risen dramatically. Property taxes are significant, and the infrastructure that was supposed to support all that growth is still catching up, meaning residents deal with traffic, limited services, and construction chaos while paying prices that no longer reflect a small town. The people who moved to Georgetown to escape Austin pricing are now discovering they moved into the next Austin, just 5 years behind. The charm is real. The history is real. But the financial relief that was supposed to come with it has largely evaporated. Number 5 is Plano. Plano represents a different version of this problem. It is an established, mature city, not a growth boomtown, with excellent infrastructure, good schools, and a strong corporate employment base. The issue in Plano is that the combination of high property values, significant property taxes, and the overall cost escalation across the Dallas-Fort Worth metro has made it genuinely difficult for households earning $100,000 a year to feel financially comfortable. Plano's median home price sits above $500,000 in many areas. The effective tax burden is substantial. And because Plano attracts professional-level residents, the cost of services, dining, childcare, and daily life reflects a premium market. $100,000 sounds like a strong salary until you run the actual monthly numbers in Plano and discover how thin the margin between income and expenses has become. Number 4 is the Woodlands. The Woodlands was engineered to be one of the best-planned communities in America, and it largely succeeded. The master-planned design works. The amenities are exceptional. The corporate campus presence gives it a strong employment base. The problem is that success has a price, and in the Woodlands that price has escalated dramatically. Median home prices in the Woodlands push well past $500,000. Property taxes in Montgomery County are significant, and the overall cost of maintaining the lifestyle that the Woodlands promises, from HOA fees to the premium pricing of goods and services in the area, adds up in ways that residents underestimate before they move in. For a family earning $100,000 a year, the Woodlands in 2026 is a place where you can see the life you want but feel the financial pressure of not quite being able to afford it comfortably. The gap between the image and the financial reality is wider here than almost anywhere else in Texas. Number 3 is Austin itself. And if any of this surprises you, it should not, because Austin's transformation from affordable college city to one of the most expensive real estate markets in the American South is one of the most dramatic economic stories of the past decade. The median home price in Austin proper still sits above $550,000 even after the post-pandemic correction that took some air out of the market. Property taxes in Travis County are brutal. The cost of everything in Austin, from rent to restaurants to car insurance, has adjusted upward to reflect the influx of high-income tech workers who reshaped the economy. $100,000 in Austin in 2026 qualifies you for subsidized housing programs by some definitions. That is not a joke. The income thresholds for affordability assistance in Austin have risen so high that a 6-figure earner can technically be classified as moderate income in certain program calculations. That tells you everything about what has happened to this city. The growth was real. The economic energy was real. But Austin's affordability, the thing that made it special before it was discovered, is gone, and the people who are feeling it hardest are the ones who earn enough to not qualify for assistance but not enough to feel truly secure. Number 2 is Katy. Katy represents the Houston suburban story in concentrated form. It expanded rapidly, attracted massive residential investment, and became one of the most popular landing spots for families relocating to the greater Houston area from across the country. The problem is that Katy sits in Harris and Fort Bend counties, and the property tax situation in those counties is among the most aggressive in the state. When you combine property tax rates that can approach 2.5% or higher on assessed values that have climbed significantly, you are looking at annual tax bills on a mid-range Katy home that can easily exceed $12,000 to $15,000. Add flood insurance, which is not optional in many parts of the greater Houston area given the region's documented vulnerability to catastrophic flooding events, and the fixed costs of homeownership in Katy become genuinely punishing for a household at the $100,000 income level. Katy has the amenities. It has the schools. It has the suburban infrastructure. But the financial load of living there has become heavier than the marketing brochures ever mentioned. And number one on this list is Dallas. Not a suburb. Not a master-planned community. The city itself. Dallas in 2026 is experiencing a convergence of pressures that has made it the Texas city where the gap between earning $100,000 and feeling financially secure has become the most extreme and the most visible. Property values in desirable Dallas neighborhoods have risen dramatically. Property taxes are significant, and in some areas the effective rate combined with rising appraisals has created year-over-year cost increases that outpace salary growth for most residents. Car insurance in Dallas is among the highest in the state due to traffic density, accident rates, and weather risk. Homeowners insurance has increased sharply. The cost of childcare in Dallas for 2 children can consume $30,000 or more annually, which alone represents nearly a third of a pre-tax $100,000 salary. The city's homeless population has grown. Infrastructure in many areas is visibly strained. And the economic bifurcation, the growing divide between the residents who can absorb these costs and the residents who cannot, is reshaping neighborhoods and communities in real time. Dallas is not a failing city. It is a city in transformation. But that transformation is happening in a way that is leaving a significant portion of its working population behind, including the people who earn enough to look successful on paper but who feel the financial pressure every single month. What is happening across these 10 Texas cities is not a temporary condition. It is the result of years of decisions, rapid growth without proportional investment in infrastructure, property tax structures that shift cost onto homeowners, insurance markets responding to real climate and weather risks, and the basic economic reality that demand without supply creates prices that eventually exclude the middle. Texas built its reputation on being the place where the American middle class could still afford to live well. That reputation is under pressure in 2026. And the cities on this list are where that pressure is most acute. The question for the next decade is whether Texas can find its way back to the affordability that defined it, or whether it will continue drifting toward the same cost structure that drove millions of people out of California and New York and into Texas in the first place. The irony would be almost too perfect. A state that grew by absorbing people escaping unaffordable places becoming unaffordable itself. That story is not complete yet. But in these 10 cities, you can see clearly where it is heading. Subscribe for more investigations into the biggest changes shaping Texas and the future of America. Would you still move to any of these cities on a $100,000 salary? Let me know in the comments. The answer might surprise you more than the question did.